Hey everybody, good morning to you. I'm Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio, and it's the 21st of May, 2024. Thanks for being with us today. Okay, it's a pleasure to have you here. I've got Lauren Jewett here. Lauren got in touch with us. She's a special education teacher and a case manager down at a charter school. She'll tell us about that down in the New Orleans area. And but she is, which always impresses me, she's a national board certified special ed teacher, which means A, that's congratulations for being national board certified, and B, she's going to heaven, okay, because she's a special ed teacher, okay, which is where they all need to go, the patience of saints, I got to tell you. But she ran for her local school board in fall of 2022 and for the state school board in fall of 2023, and she's going to bring those experiences to light today as we have a little conversation of what it's like to be a full-time teacher running for office, okay, talk about equity and all that sort of thing. And again, she's down in Louisiana. We're going to archive the show over at ace-ed.org, and I hope you go over there and check out everything we do for equity over there. All the podcasts are at ace-ed.org, including, and also all the information on our equity award. So please check it out. Everything's free. It's there for you, and share it with your friends. Let me bring Lauren on. Hold on there. And there she is. Hi, Lauren. How's the weather down there?
Hi.
Hot as hell?
Yes, it is very hot already.
Yeah. Tell me how hot, how humid down in New Orleans.
Yeah, we're already up in the 90s, and usually we know that's the end of our school year is when it starts getting super hot.
Yes, I still remember. I love this. I used to go down there on business, and I put on a suit to go have breakfast with somebody. I had to walk one block down there, and I sweated through the entire suit by the time I walked the one block in August or something. It was so darn hot down there.
Yep, that sounds about right.
But I'll make you feel good. I live in Maine. That's where I'm talking to you from today, and it's supposed to be like 86 here today in May, which is very unusual, and 90 tomorrow. So we're kind of in a little mini heat wave. It'll disappear, of course, but we get a little bit in New Orleans right here, okay? And where do you go for your Sharp Royal Oysters, Dragos, like I always do when I'm down
there? Yes, they have really, really great ones. Yep.
They do indeed. Where are you are you in the city itself, or are you outside, or what?
I live in Metairie, which is in Jefferson Parish, but it's part of the greater New Orleans area.
Oh, of course.
So, yes, but I do teach in Orleans Parish. Yes, it's in the airport area.
I know the place well, and I do love it down there, as everybody does. It's a good part of the world. So I have to ask you, by the way, your website is laurenjewett.com. I have it linked. Okay.
Yeah.
And you said that you ran for office in Election Day is the big headline, March 23rd. Was that last year or this year?
That was this year. So I kind of have kept running. I ran, I think as you said in your intro, I ran for my local school board and I ran for my state school board. And then from those experiences, I realized there were some things that needed some improvement on our state level, party level. So I ran for some positions to help build some infrastructure on my parish level, because we call them parishes versus counties down here. And then also put myself in contention for our state level committee. And so I am on both of those currently, which was just earlier this spring.
So you won. You won on March 23rd.
I did.
Hey, congratulations.
Yes,
I wasn't sure.
Thank you.
Because you didn't change your website. Doesn't say you won. Put that on there. You won.
I know. It's been it would happen right in the middle of the last quarter of the school year, which is very hectic.
Oh yeah. Right, but that's great. And I have to ask you, have all kinds of things up here, and I know it was geared for the local folks. What you said you were DSCC member-elect for District 78. What does that mean?
Yeah, so
I'm going to translate your website for everybody here. Go ahead.
Yes.
DSCC member-elect for District 78. What's that mean? Seat A. I love that part.
So the DSCC is our Democratic State Central Committee, and it's comprised of 210 members, 2 from each of our state-level House districts. And our job is to make sure that our state party is helping candidates run for office, helping fundraise, helping elect party leadership, a party chair. And so I represent my area of 78A, which is Metairie and Kenner, which is where I reside. So I'm one of those members on the state level, and then I'm on my parish level, which is in Jefferson Parish, to help with local stuff.
Yeah. And let me get back to my favorite thing. There was a Drago's in Metairie, if I'm not mistaken, the original one, I think, right?
Yes, there is one in Metairie.
Yeah,
Yep, so not far from me.
Yeah, and downtown. Nola, I know that. Pardon me for harping. I just love charbroiled oysters. Sorry, everybody. I love charbroiled oysters. They're just absolutely, if you've never had them, especially, obviously, in New Orleans, that's the place to go. Okay, this was great. Now tell me what you're doing now. Okay, now that you've been elected, what have you been elected to? Tell everybody that. I want to hear this.
Okay, so our election was this past March, end of March.
Right.
So it's only been, I got sworn in April for both of the bodies that I sit on, and it's been already a busy month from being sworn in just about a month ago. So we've already had a meeting at the state level. We've elected a new party chair because we have a lot of work to do, particularly around equity down here.
Good. Thank you for doing that.
Especially around the legislative bills. Our legislative session is still going on, and so we know that we need to have some strong leadership. So we have elected a new party chair and some new party leadership. And then on our parish level, we've already been having some events and gone out to festivals to help register voters and make sure that we're creating a lot of access points for people to be informed and educated as voters.
You're an educator. Educate them as voters. And you mentioned equity. Okay, so how are you working? And I believe you're talking, well, I think equity needs to be everywhere, but we always talk about schools here. Okay, are you working on that kind of thing? Talk about take your work as an educator. Okay, and I know you're a charter school teacher now. Am I correct? You're a charter school educator, which is big down there.
I am. Huge. Well, I've been at one school for the last 12 years. I actually just finished my school year on Friday, and I will be moving to a new school after 12 years, which I'll still be teaching in New Orleans, but I'll be working for a school that the district will now be handling and running. So it'll be the first direct run school in a while that the district has run, because we have an entire charter school system in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah, you do.
This is now
huge.
So now the district is now going to be running a school for the first time in a few years, and I'll be going there next fall, and it'll be called the Leah Chase School, which is named after Leah Chase, who was a renowned chef here in the city, and has her family still runs her restaurant Dookie Chase, which was a location during the civil rights movement that a lot of people met at, and it's a very famous restaurant here.
Where is it? I don't know.
The restaurant?
The restaurant and then the school, please. Yeah.
The restaurant is on Orleans Avenue, and again, it's called Dookie Chase. It's a very, very good restaurant if you love Creole cuisine.
Yeah.
Say again.
What ward down there?
It's I believe it's in the Treme area.
Oh wow, okay, Treme, great.
Yes.
And
that's cool. It has a huge collection of African American art. Leah Chase was a patron of the arts.
And where's the school? That's neat. I wish I had eaten there. Where's the school?
The school is located on South Carrollton Avenue, and that is in the Carrollton Broadmoor area of New Orleans, so not too far from Tulane.
I know just where.
Area.
Okay, I know just where. Where did I used to eat at? Not Jocks. Had a name like that. I can't remember the name of the great restaurant up there, by Tulane, right by where the trolley makes the turn to the right and goes about a half a mile, and I got off there.
Oh, the streetcar.
Giacomo's
yes.
restaurant. That's what I couldn't remember. Okay, I know the place pretty well. My son used to live down there, so I always love it. Pardon me for getting off on the restaurants and all that sort of stuff, but I know just the area that you're talking about there. So, okay, now you're an elected official. You're also a teacher. You're going to teach special ed. What are you going to do down there?
I'll be part of the special ed team at the new school.
Good,
yep.
Great. You'll do a great job, I'm sure. And you're on your way, not soon, but on your way to heaven, because that's where all special ed teachers go. Okay, congratulations on that. All right. And, okay, so how do you combine the politics, this is interesting, and the teaching? Okay, you see it every day. Now what? Put the two together.
Yeah, well, I think we're kind of in a climate, I feel like, where there's a lot of contentiousness around politics and teaching, and
really?
I've always
I hadn't noticed. Thank you, Lauren. I hadn't noticed.
I've always been of the mindset that it's important as an educator and as a teacher to at least be informed about what's happening on a local and state level with policies and bills that are being proposed, because those things impact us in the classroom. And there's oftentimes we're educators are doing so much and are so busy, and sometimes we're not in the room or being engaged when these bills or policies are being crafted. And so what happens is if they get passed, we have to deal with the implementation of it. And sometimes something that looks really decent or good on paper falls apart when it has to be implemented or in practice because our voices were missing from the process. And so I've always been of the mindset that our teaching role is very connected to policy and advocacy, and I kind of got involved in that realm by being a teacher that was a member of my local union, and worked on the council on the local level of my teachers union, and learned a lot about not just how policies affect teachers, but I also didn't grow up in Louisiana. I grew up in New York. So I had to learn a lot about...
Upstate or in the city or where? In New York?
Upstate in Rochester.
Oh, no, well, yeah.
Yep. And so I had to kind of learn a lot about how things, ran and the history and just the politics and relationships. And I learned a lot of that through my union, and I learned from elders and learned from other members who had been in the union for a long time. I learned just how to get involved during election cycles, and I learned how to door knock and talk to voters and get kind of an idea of where people's heads were at when it came time to ask them for their vote around school board issues or around city council elections or legislative efforts. And so I learned a lot of, I kind of saw myself as a student in that process of learning all that information. And I kind of got more interested in it as I went along. And I had studied history and political science in college. So I already had an interest in it to begin with. But again, I wasn't from here, and I didn't know everything. So I felt like I had to humble myself and learn all those things.
Yeah.
And of course, as you start doing that and you meet people start saying, well, maybe you should run for office, or maybe you should do this.
You did it.
And I got asked multiple times, and it kind of just happened.
You're an activist, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of happened during, when schools were dealing with COVID and having to go in and out, having schools on virtual, and we're being back and forth, and I'm an elementary teacher. So we kind of went back a little bit earlier in our area than some of the middle school and high schools. Through my union, I kind of got a little bit involved in just efforts to talk to reporters and media about that. People wanted to know what teachers were thinking and know where our heads were at with different policies that were coming down the pipeline. So I kind of did some news interviews. Sometimes they were on Zoom from my house. Sometimes they were on Zoom from my classroom, and just, talking about reopening plans and masking and how it felt to teach and all the new things that we had to do as educators. And so that kind of, I think, helped my advocacy and my leadership skills to help talk on behalf of what educators were experiencing in the classroom. And then I ended up applying for a vacancy at the time on my local school board that another board member had stepped down, and there was a lot of issues around the appointment. So I applied for that vacancy among about 8 other local people, community members who also were interested, and we had to do public interviews and whatnot.
Cool.
And so I got that process through that process. Now I wasn't appointed. It was just to fill I think, the last year of that board member's term. And I got kind of the itch, and I was like, well, I think I'm going to run for the position in the fall. Because like I said, people have been asking me, I think teachers are some people, I think teachers are the type of individuals who are poised and already have a lot of leadership skills.
I'm going to stop you there for a second. I'm just going to ask you that question. I just written it down. Okay, and I think this is very important. A lot of teachers, don't recognize the skills they have. Okay, and teachers have great presentation skills. Teachers, I guarantee you, teachers who are in front of an audience all day long, many teachers are probably scared of public speaking. Okay, I'm just stereotyping here off the top of my head because they don't realize it's the same thing. Okay, teachers have excellent presentation skills. They know how to present logically. And I was going to ask you the question, take your teaching skills, okay, and you just said it. And how did that work when you decided to run for office? I mean, they just naturally go together. A lot of people don't realize it. Lauren, talk about that. I hope you're spreading the word about that. Teachers need to know that about themselves. Lauren,
I mean,
your teaching skills. That's great.
When I ran my first campaign, I launched my campaign during Teacher Appreciation Week in 2022, and I just said if we appreciated teachers, like we would be electing more educators into office, or we would be supporting more educators to see themselves as worthy contenders and candidates, because like you said, we have those presentation skills.
Those are built in. Yeah.
We're very good at planning, had a very grassroots, like kind of like low budget campaign. But I know the teachers are very resourceful. Like we know how to do a lot with little. And I made sure I planned everything. I ran all my own social media. I had the help of my aunt helped me with some things, with contact of things I couldn't do during the school day, and making some phone calls and helping with just entering in my data for my campaign reports. But I think we're very good at being flexible, thinking on our feet. And that helped a lot when I had teachers, a lot of teachers came out with me to volunteer and go and knock on doors or make calls to voters. And we are very good at just having conversations with people and building that trust, because that's what we do all day in the classroom, and communicating a message that would be inspiring and that would help people understand kind of what our platform was about. And we're patient, right? Like teachers are very patient.
Exactly. Especially, if I may, a special ed teacher. Okay, the patience of saints. Really.
Yes. So I think that we have so many transferable skill sets, and I think sometimes educators don't think that those things would transfer into other realms, but they really do.
They do.
And I think we like you said, we have that way to present and a way to bring information that might feel like kind of hard to digest or hard to kind of distill. Educators can bring that down, because even with a lot of people, some people didn't know that they were able to vote for school board when we talked to them on the doors, or they didn't know it was on their ballot, or they just, some people we have a lot of elections in Louisiana, like they're just constant, and so people just weren't sure of the dates and needed all that information. And I tried to even design at the time my communication and my website to be very easy to find all the things that people needed to find to be able to go out and vote for me. So just providing that voter education, I think educators have a strong skill set, because we're already delivering content all the time. And we also know how to do it in a way that is accessible to all different people. I think that sometimes people who are giving out that information don't think with the mind of an educator, and don't think, okay, if I'm putting this information out, maybe I need to have a visual, or maybe I need to have a description if it's on social media, to be more accessible to people. Yeah, so they're not thinking about all those things all the time. But I'm thinking about that because I'm looking at it through my educator brain.
Exactly. Exactly. And I have to ask, let me ask you the opposite question. Okay, you're an educator, and again, all the skills, etc. How are people, and you bring that up as part of your campaign, you're very interested in education and all the offices you're running for. Okay, well, how do people look at, and again, we're speaking about Louisiana, but let's just extrapolate it out a little bit. As you ran for office, what were the questions that were coming to you, or the feelings you got about people and education? Do they understand what's going on out there, and the challenges teachers face, and we can make it and should make it better, and the equity question and all that sort of thing? Everybody's quick to say every other school district in the world stinks except mine. Okay, it's the standard right across the board. Okay, everybody loves their school district, and otherwise education stinks. Okay, which is not true. Just talk about what you heard as you ran about education from folks that you were trying to get to vote.
Yeah, I mean, I think that overall, people were very surprised when we knocked on their doors, because one, people don't feel like that's something that happens much anymore. They're like, oh, you're the first candidate that's knocked on my door ever, or in a long time. And
social media.
And I'm somebody who really enjoys doing that. But I think that they were a little impressed. They were surprised and impressed that we were doing that, especially in August, in September, when it's still brutally hot here.
Oh yeah.
But we were doing it, and we wanted to engage with people, because we also felt that was something that would help us get a little bit more of a pulse on where people felt. So I think people were encouraged to not only see a candidate knocking on the door, but also see a candidate for school board who was a teacher and a special education teacher, because a lot of people we knocked on, they're like, oh, someone in my family has a disability, or my family member was a teacher, or just had some kind of story or narrative that or anecdote that kind of connected with what we were talking about. And so overall, there was a positive response to seeing a teacher who wanted to be on the school board. And then there were, we did encounter voters who we talked with that, weren't people that had kids of current age in the school system. So sometimes it was about having a conversation with them that telling them that impactful for them, because we want to have our kids well educated in our communities, and it still impacts them on many different levels, because education intersects so many other sometimes issues that are happening. So that was kind of a thing that we talked about. And then we do have a pretty large amount of people who don't send their kids to public schools.
Right,
they,
I know down
send
there,
them
yeah.
to parochial or private schools.
Yes.
So sometimes, again, people didn't see, saying that they send their kids to other schools that they, paid out of pocket tuition for. And but I said, well, you're still a taxpayer. You're still
That's right.
paying to fund our public schools and make sure that they're strong. And I said, a public education system we must have. It is a public good, and it's still something that you are part of, even if you're not sending your kids to the public school system. And so we had those conversations with voters who maybe didn't see the connection because they didn't send their kids to public school for whatever reason. And also we did encounter voters who would watch things on the news about different things happening either in our area, but more maybe kind of nationally, of things going on with education that they had very strong opinions on. I'm talking specifically about these culture war issues. And what we really try to always go back to is my platform about being an educator and understanding what it's like to be in a classroom, and that some of these things that they were bringing up that they saw on the news, while these were issues, they were not the issues that we were particularly facing as educators, which is
right.
educators needing to be paid more equitably and fairly, about working conditions in schools, about the mental health of students, and making sure, like, also our schools are properly staffed across the board with bus drivers and nurses and
it's hard these days.
And librarians and all the things. And so I think when we brought it back to those kinds of things, people were more receptive and listened. But I will say that we did encounter people that, sometimes just did not want to engage with us because they felt very strongly about, whatever they were watching on news, because I'm saying they referenced news things. But that was, to me, the importance of knocking on the doors. And actually having a face-to-face conversation with somebody of someone's actual experience, because they couldn't really, you can't necessarily always deny someone's experience.
The TV is one-dimensional, and they're hearing what they want them, what they're hearing what the TV station, I'll say MSNBC or Fox, want them to hear. It's edited comment. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and they need to talk to somebody. It's amazing, and I have to tell you, you are very. We have to in a minute or so, but I'll tell you, Lauren, you are a very impressive person, and you are really. And I want to say this again. This is how good a teacher you are. You are national board certified. That is something that is extremely important. That is not easy to get. Okay, and I always say it's like when you go into a doctor's office and they say, part of the ecology, we are recommended by the Board of Ophthalmology. Okay, it's different from their medical degree. Okay, you have a degree, but to be national board certified, is an incredible achievement. And what you do down there every day, besides teaching, okay, it's just so darn important. And you really have a good voice, teachers involved in what they're doing. Lauren, we got to leave, but I can't thank you enough for being here today. You're a terrific person.
Thank you.
Really are.
Thanks for having me.
No, you're welcome, and stay cool. Don't let that air conditioner break down. Starting now.
Yeah. Oh no, please no.
Yeah. It's like our winter, your summer. Okay, what can I tell you, Lauren Jewett? You're terrific. I hope and update your website. You got a lot to say, young lady. Okay, get that out there.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I'll update.
Thanks, Lauren. Yep. Do it, and thank you. This is great. Great to know you. Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you. Take care.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. You too. Bye.
Bye.
And it's going to be hot down there, as it always is, and hot up here today, here in Maine, of all places. It's hot. So something in common with Nola today. Okay, but we do lobsters, they do oysters. What can I tell you? I hope we're going to archive the show. She's terrific. Over at ace-ed.org. I'm Larry Jacobs. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Check out what we do, and check out Lauren. She's pretty cool. Lauren Jewett. I got it linked. Thanks for listening.